where many walk in hunger, for faith in a world where many walk in fear, for friends in a world where many walk alone, and for the opportunity to serve where many are in need, we give you thanks and request your continued blessing. Amen.
Amen. All right. Very nice. Okay, have a chair and set yourselves down. Our greeter today is Todd Dombrowski back there. Todd, is it me or is this whole crowd a little bit slow today? Could just be me, but I don't know. Leadership, yeah, that's what they say. Let's see some more here. Let's see some more. Todd, do we have any visiting Rotarians?
President Dwyer, we have House Health, who is a snowbird. This is his first time this year.
Thank you. Klaus is back in. Must be spring. George Curry's back here too. George Curry's back over here in the corner. It must be spring. You can't tell by looking outside, but we can tell by looking at who's come back for the season. Okay. Any other guests? No? Okay. Let's do guests at the table then. Anybody have guests? I see some faces I don't know, so let's check the tables. Let's see. Center table? Back? How about your table where Steve Cook is? Is that table over there? Oh, you got it. There you are.
Okay. President Jim, please join me in welcoming, I have some friends here today. Jim Graves for Congress and his assistants and aides, Adam, AJ, and Anna. Stand.
Here. Thank you for coming. Any other guests that I didn't see? That's kind of interesting, the concept of having friends. I should try to get some sometime, I think. We don't have any students, Rotarians for this month, so we're going to do the drawing for the loot. Todd already has a number, so take out your little, what is it, pink? What color is it there, Todd?
777044.
Oh, Diane, is that Diane Croft that gets the move? All right, Diane, good job. Okay, David Tripp, we have a couple of blue badges, but we have one person here at least who can get it, do you think?
Yep. We do.
You did the work, so bring it on up here. You did the work of looking it up. Might as well read it up there for a minute.
Blue badge, and don't forget to put it in the box afterwards instead, like I do, put it in my car and then it sits there forever and I forget to bring it in. Murray Mack, you have successfully done the 7 steps on our red to blue badge conversion checklist, including, most importantly, uploading a picture of yourself in our website. Because if you go onto our website under club membership with photos, there's probably only a handful left. Probably only 10 to 15 most out of 115 that don't have their photo on our website. It's a great way to try to remember new and old members alike. So Murray, you want to come up? Do you have your red? You can. Which is timely because we've got a lot of new members that are coming up for the red badge, and I'm completely out of red badges. So thanks for the red badge. Congratulations.
We'll do it next week. A couple of them who aren't there. Okay, thank you for that. I have a bit of club, actually, Rotary International business that we need to take care of. The board has discussed this. There is a nominating process for the president of Rotary International, and our zone 28, which is all the clubs in the central part of the United States, has a right to vote. Our club, because of its size, has 5 votes to choose, not the president, but the nominating committee member. Normally, the zones put in 1 person. This time there happens to be 2 people. Some of you know that 1 or 2 are both, and so I will ask you, because we have to put in a vote and have to send it in and then bring it to the club. So we have a bit of business. One member who's has asked and applied to become on this committee is Tom Thorpenson. Tom is a recent Rotary International director. He has been up at this club in the last couple of months. He's been in the Dominican Republic. He's been a very active Rotarian working around the world, Africa, and he's also been through other places, other countries besides the Dominican Republic and places like that on Rotary International business. And has done a lot of work. He's with the, he's in our district, but also in our zone. The other person is Jerry Meeks out of St. Paul, who has also been a past director and a past governor. And he has also been 2 years on the Rotary International Nominating Committee. Most of you do not know these people, or you maybe only know one. But we still are required to turn in a vote to send one of them on by the rules that there's two who are vying for the position. So, first off, do I have any kind of a motion to accept? David?
President, I nominate Tom Torkelson as the this club.
Tom Thorstenson's been nominated. I heard a second. All right, is there other discussion?
Is that intended that all 5 votes be for this?
The rules say the 5 votes may not be split. That's correct.
Very good.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor then say aye, please.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say aye. Okay, thank you. Then we'll send the ballot in as 5 votes for Tom Thorpenson. Thank you for that. As you know, we have a president-elect for the club, Drew, and then a vice president, Steve, and a president-elect Diane. This is for the president of the Rotary International, that far out also, but 2014-2015 year. That's whom they will be selecting. Okay, announcements. Chris. Oh, good timing. I look away and she's gone. She'll be back. I see her out there. All right, let's go to Diane. Can you believe Diane Kroska wants to talk about something? What do you think? Why don't you come on up here, Diane, so you're in front of the camera so that they can put you on the website talking. Anybody want to take bets with your leftover ticket as to what she's going to talk about?
Okay, first, real quick, t-shirts, sweatshirts, a few of the tables I didn't have sign up for all of them, but there's sweatshirt sign-ups on your tables. If you want t-shirts yet, there's only a handful that haven't ordered t-shirts. That order's going in tomorrow morning. That's a drop-dead date. We will not be ordering any after that. Second, there are orange sheets on your table. That's your volunteer sign-up sheet. I want one from every Rotarian, even if you say, no, I cannot help with Summertime by George. Go over, real quick, I did a few things different this year. First, you have your times available. Some of you are able to be there at 3:30 and some of your work precludes that. So what times that you would be available to help out? Last year I had a list of duties, and this year I've changed that a little bit. You'll have work levels. Minnie Mouse is when you can't do an awful lot of physical work if you're better off selling pop or being a parking attendant. And then we have Mickey Mouse, that would be your average person out here that can definitely do some work, but maybe not quite have all the muscles. And then we have Mighty Mouse, who is the Superman of mice. One good thing, I have to tell you guys, we will not have those heavy wooden picnic tables this year. Those were a hernia waiting to happen. But we picked, Dave Tripp picked up 10 collapsible picnic tables, so now 2 people can handle it instead of 4 big men. So go for the work level that you can do, and then list the dates you're not able to work. Put an X if you're not going to be available. Number of weeks you're willing to volunteer. Last year we had 98% of this club volunteered. I think that is astronomical. So let's go for 99 this year. And then if you're going to have any family members that you want assigned at the same time with you, if they're 16 or over. And any comments you have to make, and if you have any questions, let me know. I will pick these up on the table after today. They'll be available for the next week or two because I know some of you have to look at your schedules and so forth, but at least to get you thinking about it. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you want t-shirts or sweatshirts, last thing, let me know. Yes, Mr. Casey?
Watkins is the name.
I'm sorry. Don. I should have said Don. I would have got you right.
Tell us about 4th of July.
4th of July is going to be different. It is going to run from 3 until 7. The band is going to be 4:30, 4 to 7? 4 to 7, the band will be playing. Day trip, the trolley car that day will also be going down to the fireworks to Wilson Park, so people can park at Wilson Park. Hester Park, thank you. Park at Hester Park, and then take the trolley up to Summertime by George and go back for the fireworks. We're going to ask the tavern and the food people to stay until 8, is that correct? So that, yeah, we're going to ask the tavern and the food people to stay till 8 so people can sit around yet until it's time to go down for the fireworks.
And the entertainment that night is Slip Twister, which is one of our more popular bands we had last year.
Troy just said the entertainment that night is Slip Twister, which is one of our more popular bands from last year, so we expect a good turnout.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. So as I understand it now, the bus trolley is going to leave from Casey Park and go to Watkins. Was that what it was? Yeah, I didn't get that all straight myself. Chris Wolliver, Chris.
Thanks, Jim. Just another reminder that this Thursday is our plan for our Rotary cleanup. Last time I didn't tell you where. Those of you who don't know, we go out west on 23 and we kind of park by the depot out there, and then you'll be assigned your section. I can still use a couple more. If you signed up last week, you don't have to sign up again this week. But if you want to sign up, if you can't sign up or don't know and want to come that day, more the merrier, so we will take anyone that comes. And it's at 5:30, and then we go to Sammy's for some pizza and some refreshments, and it doesn't really take long. It's fun, about an hour and a half, and it looks really good when we're done. So I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Please go ahead and sign up and get some folks in there to help along. All righty, do we have Dave Haugen ready to talk for a minute on scholarships? David.
Yeah, I'll just talk real quick. We did pick our scholarship winners. From Tech, we have David Schindel from St. John's Prep, Emiliana Kofel, Apollo, Josh Loso, the Christian School, Isaac Fremming, and Cathedral, Jennifer Flegel. The counselors and students are really excited about this awards project that we're giving away, but they have requested, if possible, if someone from Rotary would like to attend the awards banquet. A lot of them are next week. I'm thinking, just one per school. If someone would want to express some interest in that, I'll circulate it around. Essentially, it's a fun event to attend and get to know some of our students. So I'll pass it around, and hopefully people would be willing to help with that. But we're giving away a total of $5,500, so we should feel good about that.
Okay, thank you. That's a scholarship. We're doing $1,000 scholarships for 4, and one gets a $1,500 scholarship this year. This money is, when you put $1 in for the ticket, and some of the other little things we do, that is where the money comes from for this, all as part of our budget. And so, just so you know what happens and what the end result is for your dollar, for those of you who don't win the loot, ever. And there are some who never won the loot. But that's where the money goes, it's a scholarship, so thank you on that. Did Tony Goddard get here? Tony, I didn't see him. He was going to do opportunities if he got here, but he couldn't get here for sure. How about some happy dollars? Who's happy? Anybody happy? Gray, cold, rainy, grouchy day? Nobody's happy. Boy, it is bad, I tell you. Who's got a happy dollar here? No one's got a happy dollar? Yeah. Nope, Justin does. Justin says, okay, I'll give you a pity dollar.
It's a pity dollar. This is for 3 or 4 days. This past week I was able to serve on a jury, which the only reason why it's a happy dollar is because it got me out of work, and it was just interesting to see that process and to understand the breadth and depth of it. So it was very interesting.
All right. Anybody else? I'll put Tim's going to come up. Nope, we're just sitting back. I'll put $1 down just because I'm happy my daughter and son-in-law came to visit. And my son, my eldest child, got engaged last week, and my other kids came to visit before them. We had a great trip together. So happy for that. Diane.
I just have a happy dollar for Chris and the La St. Germain Hotel, because we are so blessed to have this wonderful food each week. I mean, I've been to some of the other clubs, guys, and we have really good lunches. And they just do a nice job. And is that dessert wonderful? Or
I'm happy because on Thursday evening, my younger son will be taking his master's in math from UMD. And next fall, he's been accepted to a teaching position at the University of Wisconsin, where he'll be working as his doctorate in math. This is the kid we weren't sure was going to get out of junior high. So thanks for all the teachers who work with the gifted kids with their creativity. Couple happy bucks here. Last week we closed about $50 million in new funding for Granite Equity LLC, $40 million plus in new equity commitments, and $10 million Granite Debt Fund, and we now have a new home, Granite Equity LLC, for Zurich and Vector Windows, and we're open for new investments.
All right. Bob Mahol, come on up there. He's thinking about this for a while, I can see that.
It's just so different not finding somebody and actually having to put the money in myself. I have a couple of happy bucks there. My daughter Amy just graduated from William Mitchell, and not only did she graduate, which stops the tuition hemorrhage for the moment, she also got a job.
I love that job word. More so as I get older and my kids have to go into that field. Anyone else with a happy dollar? I will just also comment that I think the food's great, and today I was kind of looking, well, it's about the right weather for a picnic, isn't it? And where are the ants, but that's about it. No, it's a real fun food we have here. As we travel, as any of you know, if you've traveled to other clubs, we do have a very nice venue and a very nice menu that's set up each week. Okay, any other business that I missed from someone? Otherwise, there's a couple of twins over here. The only way I can tell them apart is they have different names on their shirts, or their vests. But I'm going to have the one who says Alan Herbst come up and introduce our speaker. All right, welcome.
Good afternoon. He likes my shirt here. Pretty cool, huh? It's my honor, and I'm happy today, it's my honor, to get a chance to introduce the speaker today. Our speaker is George Lucas today. He's a plant manager at Quad Graphics. I worked the last 28 years at Quad Graphics, so I'm interested to see what he's going to talk about and share with you really what I know would be a really good company. George is the plant director at Quad Graphics in St. Cloud. He grew up in a dairy farm locally in the Piers area. Went to St. Cloud State, got a bachelor's in business, emphasis in finance. His first job out of school was working for Federated Insurance in Otana, in the accounting area. Then moved up 5 years, or a couple years into another business, Brown Printing in Waseca. Major competition to our plant here in St. Cloud. Has been for years. At Brown, he was an accountant for a couple years. Then he moved into the manufacturing management area. Finished his 10-year career there at a plant that Brown owns in East Greenfield, Pennsylvania. He ran the manufacturing operation in that plant before coming here back to St. Cloud. In '94, he accepted the position of manufacturing manager here in the St. Cloud printing plant. Back then it was known as Clevercore Printing, if you recall the name change we've gone through. I'm not sure he's going to talk about that or not, but we've been through a lot of names. That was Clevercore Printing back then. And he came as manufacturing manager, and after 5 years, he became plant manager, and we now call that plant director, same thing. Outside of work, George is very involved in Native Way of Minnesota, Central Minnesota. He's been on the board for 7 years. He's been chairman, he's currently chairman Native Way board. He serves on Native Way Resource Development, serving on the Workplace Campaign Chair, Leaders in Giving Co-Chair. George lives in Sartell. George has 2 grown children. Maria is a disability specialist in the Rochester, Minnesota area. And his son, Justin, just graduated from University of Iowa with a medical degree. So in George's spare time, he enjoys golf, hunting, and fishing, and he's also working as an MBA at St. Alaska. Please help me welcome George Lucas.
You know, hear me without that? That'd be really good if I don't have to do that.
Okay, you can try it.
Is it tough? Is that right?
Tough for some.
Okay, sorry. Okay, we'll try that. Really?
Someday we gotta get that fixed. There you go.
How's that? Okay. That's right, I have this. I realize I'm supposed to start out with some humor. First, I want to know, Alan, you said you were happy to introduce me, but I noticed it's not Happy Buck. Wow, not that happy, I guess. Bummer. We have to talk about that back at work. This morning, I had a friend send me an email regarding some truths for mature humans, and some of these caught my eye, so I thought I would share them with all of you. The first one was, I think that part of a best friend's job should be to immediately clear your computer history if you die. Think about that. If you got something on there you want cleared, you might want to have a best friend. Nothing sucks more than the moment during an argument when you realize that you are wrong. I totally take back all those times. This one applies to me. I totally take back all those times I didn't want to nap when I was younger. Here's an electronic one, and this is around my theme today. There is a great need for a sarcasm font, and I think that's really true. MapQuest really needs to start their directions on number 5. Really, I need help getting out of my neighborhood. And lastly, obituaries would be a lot more interesting if they told you how the person died. So, with that, I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about printing today. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to come here. There have been a lot of changes in our industry and changes in our company, so really when Alan asked me to do this, I thought it was a great opportunity to introduce Quad Graphics to St. Cloud. So my introduction, or my agenda here is to introduce our new owners, Quad Graphics. We'll talk about them a little bit, share a little bit about our plant here in St. Cloud, and then discuss some printing industry trends and talk a little bit about a small part of Quad Graphics' strategy as it relates to responding to those industry trends. Alan, you said I had where'd you go? You said I had a couple hours, right? Is that no, this won't be that long. Just to start with a caveat, I am not a printer. I have no technical questions, all right? If they told me I needed to start the press up, we'd be in deep weeds in a hurry. We have great people who do that every day, so that's not my job at our printing plant. I've been in the business a long time, but I never really did ask where the start button is on the press, and I don't intend to. I'm pretty sure I would just scare our employees if I did that. So, whoops. A little bit about Quad Graphics. Our new owners, the company was founded in 1971 by a guy by the name of Harry Quadracci. Joel Quadracci is currently our CEO and chairman of the board, and as you might guess, Joel is Harry's son. Our company is headquartered in Sussex, Wisconsin, which, if you're familiar with that part of Wisconsin, it's in the Milwaukee area. We are the second largest printer in the U.S., North America, and the Western Hemisphere. And that leads me to my first question of the day. Who could name the largest printer in North America?
Argonne.
Wow, Pat, very good. I'm impressed. He's used a printer. Nobody ever knows anything about printers. How did you know that?
It's my duty as a United Way board member to know.
We have a lot of United Way board members in here today. I was expecting this set of faces I have never seen before, and that wasn't the case.
Can you repeat?
Very good. So R.R. Donnelly is the largest printer, actually by a factor of about more than 2. Our gross sales in 2012 will be about $4 billion as a corporation. They just announced their 2012-11 numbers at a little over $10 billion, so they're obviously a lot larger than us. We have about 20,000 employees. We have roughly, and it literally can be hard to kind of count them all, but I think we have about 48 printing plants located in the United States, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, a lot in South America, Latin America, and one location in Poland. And actually, one thing I didn't put on the presentation, we just recently made an acquisition. Well, it was I think it's a partnership kind of acquisition in India, so obviously our company is choosing to figure out how to get involved in that part of the world as well. The thing about Quad Graphics is until they purchased World Color, Quebecor, all those things that Alan was talking about, they purchased our plant as a part of the purchase of World Color. Quad was a very organic growth kind of company. Since they started in 1971, they have what I would describe as a mega plant environment, 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees, million square feet kinds of plants. And when we talk about our plant, you can see that comparison. Our plant and most of the World Color plants were much smaller than that and spread out around the country much more so than Quad Graphics. So the majority of the capacity for the legacy Quad company was in eastern Wisconsin. And they were a private business up until they purchased our company. And so they became public. They went public at the very same time that they purchased World Color. A little bit about the market segments in which Quad works. Our major business is in the magazine, catalog, and retail business. And that means, so we do not own any of the products we work with or produce. They're owned by publishers or catalogers. We simply provide the service of printing, okay? So you can see that over half of what we do today is in the magazine, catalog, and retail business. This slide's a little bit confusing in that there is kind of geographic and product information thrown together. You can see we have about 12% of our business in Canada and 6% in Latin America. That is going to swing around in 2012 as our company made a deal with a Transcontinental, a large Canadian printer, and we traded assets with them. We used to have a lot of plants in Canada. We chose to get out of Canada. I think our company views Canada as a slow growth economy, and Latin America and South America as having much more opportunity in the future. We are in the book business, so the book printing business, the directory, the telephone directory business, the direct mail business. And this is just a snapshot. I throw this up here only because when you look at the St. Cloud business, most of what we produce is not stuff you necessarily recognize. You don't see it necessarily on the newsstand. But this is what these kinds of names are, the names you recognize. So what it says is our corporation does business with a lot of the large catalogers and publishers in North America. So a little bit about St. Cloud. The St. Cloud plant history really starts back in 1938. Anton Vogelmuth, and I know Joan's here today and will recognize this story. I hope I get this correct. Please don't correct me until afterward if I do this wrong. Anton's sons established Vogelmuth printers in 1963, and the current location, so who knows where our plant is located? Wow, very good. Okay, lots of people. All right, so we are over, we always say, right next to the Honda House. Right off of Highway 23, right next to the Honda House. That location started getting built in 1971. The company was sold to Web Publishing and Printing in 1979. Back in the 70s and 80s, publishers believed that printers charged too much and they were sure they could print cheaper if they just owned the assets themselves. Most of them chose to get out after a few years, realizing the money isn't in print and or in printing. And so Webb sold the business to Maxwell Graphics in 1986. That didn't last very long, and Maxwell Graphics sold the business to Quebecor Printing in 1990. Quebecor Printing was a company out of Montreal, Quebec, and Quebecor's goal in life was to consolidate a very fragmented industry. And so we were part of that effort to purchase and build a large printing company from a lot of small printing companies around the country. Quebecor Printing purchased World Color, another large printer at that time, in 1999, and we renamed ourselves Quebecor World. And then about 9 years later, we filed for bankruptcy. And so we exited bankruptcy in the summer of 2009, and oftentimes that leads to an acquisition by somebody else, because those people who were lenders who really had no interest in owning a printing business found themselves owning a printing business. And so they sold the company to Quad Graphics in July of 2010. And that's how we became part of Quad Graphics. One of the things I wanted to comment on as it relates to this slide, I would tell you that I'm incredibly proud of the local operation we have, and mostly because of the people who work there. You'll see we have about 300 people. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. The people in our plant have experienced bankruptcy. They've experienced wage reductions. We had to announce a 10% wage reduction during the 2010-11 time frame. I guess it was 2010. With that came, cost of benefit increases, lots of name changes, and that might seem insignificant. I would tell you, if you go through that often enough, you tend to lose your identity, and that's a real challenge. And yet those people, this plant is a nicely successful, financially successful plant. We keep our customers very happy, and that's a huge tribute to the people who have hung in there through all those difficult times. So I would just tell you, those folks have seen, our folks have seen a lot of difficult times, especially in recent years, and they're still standing, and I'm really proud of them for that. What we do, we are in the short to medium run magazine and catalog business, B2B trade publications. Here I am going to step out and try and talk loud for a second. Different kinds of products, digest products we do. You might recognize this, the Minnesota DNR book, volunteer magazine. We do a lot. This is something you'd see on a newsstand at Coburn's, for instance, would be Taste of Home's recipe books. Local pieces, this is from Rochester, what you might call this goes to every resident kind of thing in the Rochester area. It's called Shop Rochester. Minneapolis, we do a lot of city magazines in the Minneapolis area. A company called Tiger Oaks produces these. And then we get to more national pieces. America is out, it's a Catholic magazine out of New York City. We work with Disney, doing all kinds of fun things for them. Their Cars, Phineas and Ferb, a bunch of different titles for them. Every once in a while we get these spot pieces that you'll find on a newsstand. These are poster books done by a company called Winter Media out of New York City. Apparently if you like Justin Bieber, or I assume your son or daughter would like Justin Bieber, you'll go buy this because you can get 5, 6, 10 posters out of it, and that's a good deal. Then we get to, I guess, then we get to the stuff you'd never hear or see unless you happen to work in a particular industry. If you're a lawyer, Ed, you might get American Lawyer. We print American Lawyer. If you're into franchise business, Franchise Times. Believe it or not, there's a magazine for just about every industry. School, transportation, news, home world business for those people who purchase products that are selling that kind of stuff in their stores. And then we do some catalog work as well, some big catalog things here. These catalogs are not the kind of thing that would be consumer catalog. They're probably going to a business that might be a gift shop, right? And they typically are associated with shows so that the end customer is getting that at the show or as a part of going to the show. And it's got all of the products in there that they can purchase. So that's the kind of business we're in. We have over 275 customers we do business with annually, and no customer is greater than 8% of our business. And that's an important thing for us. I think it's one of the things that's kept us as a plant successful over the years. We don't have somebody who's 30, 40, 50% of our business, and of course, at that point, number one, telling anybody else in the plant that they're our most important customer can be really difficult to do. It's really hard to treat everybody the same when it comes to that. And as a community and as a plant, it creates incredible risk. So we like to have that risk minimized. A little bit more about our plant. We have about 247,000 square feet on 24 acres, 300 employees. We work 24 hours a day. I'm going to say 5 days a week. The truth of the matter is, in the printing business, if you need days 6 and or 7, you have to use them. The schedule, ours is this business of being flexible and getting the product out the door for the customer when they need it. And so we oftentimes find ourselves having to work the weekend. We do sales in that $55 to $60 million range each year. And to just give you a sense of our cost structure, I just put some numbers up there. Our number one cost item, as you might guess, is paper, and so it becomes a big deal to manage paper as efficiently and effectively as you can. And of course, right behind that is labor. And the good news is that $17 million is money that gets spent in our community. Just briefly about the process. I hoped to do this in video form, but that didn't work. So I mentioned at the beginning, we don't own any of the products we produce. They are our customer's product. And in our business, that starts with the customer transmitting to us PDF files, right? And so our customer service function simply takes the project and creates a manufacturing plan for it. Imaging imposes those pages and makes plates. The press room prints the sections of the book, and then the finishing or bindery process collates them together and creates a finished product. In our imaging department, we have 17 employees. We handle like 215,000 pages in a year. We use aluminum plates in our process, and so we image about 100,000 aluminum plates. And as you might guess, we're a huge recycler, both in terms of aluminum and paper we'll talk about in a second. So $100,000 of recycling in aluminum. In our press room, 78 employees. We handle 79 million pounds of paper in a year. 17 million pounds of that gets recycled, which speaks a little bit to the efficiency or perhaps lack thereof in the printing business. So in other words, 80 million pounds of paper goes in, and actually 17 million of that ends up in the recycle bin at the end of the process. We spend about $2.3 million on ink. Our ink is manufactured by our company in Wisconsin, and we have 5 presses. The bindery is the labor component of our business in a big way, 164 employees in that function. We produce about 170 million books in a year. Those books tend to go to newsstand and or mail, more so mail than newsstand. And we have a postal facility on site, so post office folks are there to verify our mail on a daily basis. So, on to trends. And I was talking with John earlier, this is the unpleasant part of the printing business discussion. It has been an incredibly difficult business in recent times. You know, at first when the web came about, there was talk about it killing print, and then after about 3 or 4 years in the 90s, everybody said, yeah, it's actually growing print. This is good for us, it's not bad for us. Turns out that changed eventually as web providers learned how to deliver and make that medium really an effective advertising tool. Search tools such as Google developed advertising opportunities. Smartphones and all those applications are coming along. And of course, in the midst of all of that, we had our economic collapse, and that just really created a focus on how effective print is or isn't compared to electronic solutions. The results have been dramatic. Magazine ad pages are shrinking, and catalog print orders and page counts are shrinking. Graphically, when we look at this business, we talk about our demand drivers. You can look at the first 2 columns there, the U.S. GDP and the U.S. ad spending. And those two sets of information, let me just point to them real quick. These 2 right here, you can see in 2009 when the hit took place, but the truth is GDP has generally been on the positive side of 0, as has U.S. ad spending. And yet if you go to the columns to the right of that, magazine ad pages, look at every bar is 0 or negative in terms of growth. Catalog circulation, virtually every bar is negative or at 0. And so what's happened is, what this picture tells you is, while ad spending is not necessarily what we might call robust, it's robust when you compare it to the print medium, all right? And so you might ask the question, well, where the heck is that money being spent if it's not being spent in print? And the answer to that is it's obviously happening on the electronic side. Internet advertising in 2011 grew by 22% over 2010. Almost 1/2 of that came in the form of the search category. If you're familiar with that business, the Googles of the world, they have had tremendous success creating search engines and selling advertising to those engines. Interestingly, okay, that might not be the area that's going to grow the fastest in the future. That's almost certainly to be the mobile phone and the applications that come along with that. And so as a printer, you stare at that and go, wow, that's troublesome. This is what that magazine ad pages looks like, all by itself stuck out, and you can see that huge drop. Netting that out, we've seen about a 35% reduction in ad pages since before the problem started. The catalog's mailed picture looks exactly the same. The number's not quite as big, but the catalog mailings have fallen 28% since 2007. So that's what we face as a company, and that makes you want to just throw up your hands and go, okay, let's find the unemployment line or something, right? The challenge, I think, as our company sees it, is to figure out how to make print relevant in that environment. We aren't going to be able to change that environment. In fact, it's scary to think what that environment is going to be like in 10 years. But I'm pleased to watch our company develop some new technologies. We refer to them as our interactive print solutions, and I think this is something you will see a lot more of in the years to come. In our interactive print solutions business, we're really trying to make print relevant by bringing it together with the electronic solution, okay? I don't know if you're familiar with it's called near field communications or NFC technology. Really interesting stuff. You can take a smartphone that's equipped with NFC technology, and by the way, I think that's only about 5% of the phones that are out there today, but you know, 5% today, watch, in 2 to 3 years, that will be 50%, or I suspect soon it wouldn't make a phone without it. And what that allows is, in fact, we produced the first near field technology in a magazine, in Wired magazine. And I say we, that wasn't St. Cloud, but our company produced it. And what it allows is this: the magazine can sit there and you can take your smartphone and just get it near the tag. They talk about tapping it on the tag. And it will take you to the website that tag was built for. Okay, so you might be looking at an ad, and you're going to ask in a second, well, how's that different than a QR code? And the difference between that and a QR code is simply the difference. It's the ease of use. If you're familiar with QR code technology, you take a picture of that QR code in the magazine, and it will take you to a website. Now you don't have to do that anymore. You can just take your phone and get close to that tag, tap on it, and boom, it takes you there. Another interesting way in which we can make this be very interactive is a variable QR code. Variable meaning, so if you print an ad for a car company, and all the QR codes in those million magazines go out the door of the same QR code, everybody who takes that picture of that QR code is going to go to the same place, because the QR code is kind of dumb, right? That's all it knows is take me to the Honda dealership, or the Honda website, right? But we can make each of those QR codes variable, meaning when I make a magazine for a customer, I know a lot about that customer. And when I put the label on that magazine, when I inkjet the label on that magazine, I know that is George Wilkes. He lives in Sartell. He drives a very beat up old truck, and he's a GMC guy, right? So that information can be part of call it the demographic information that the publisher knows about. That can be included in that QR code, so that now that QR code gets printed on the magazine, it's individualized to me, and if I read that QR code with my smartphone, I still have a BlackBerry, by the way, so that doesn't really work for me. But if I read that QR code, it's going to take me someplace else than it would take the guy down the street who drives a Ford, for instance, okay? So what our company is attempting to do is instead of ignoring that technology, instead of trying to fight that technology, we're saying, we got to figure out how to make the magazine work in concert with that technology so that we can be part of that in the future. The probability is we're going to be printing less pages, we're probably going to be printing less copies, but we can still be relevant in this environment if in fact we can work with the other technologies that are coming along. So I think that's the way in which we're going to battle those numbers you saw earlier. And with that, that's all I have. Questions? Yeah.
Your industry has had shrinkage problems for a long time. What are you doing to try to get rid of or reduce that $17 million of recycled paper?
A great question. I would tell you that we work on that $17 million absolutely every day. In our plant, that is one of the, I would say, secrets to our success financially is I think we're about as efficient at doing that as most any plant, certainly within our company. One of the challenges with the magazine business, and I wouldn't want to get into too many details, but ultimately, when we build a magazine, the nature of the product is one, if you want it to be nice and clean at the end, you have no choice but to call it printed bigger, than have more space around it than what you really want in a final product, and then you got to cut off the head, foot, and base to make a nice, clean finish to that. You're building in waste, right? And the ability to make that go away, quite frankly, within our technology, I don't know how to do that. So there's a certain amount of waste in the process that there's really not much you can do about. On the other hand, I would tell you, in 2007, we made our last investment in a press. It was about $12 million press. And that press operates at a way different and much more efficient level in terms of one of the places we have, one of our waste streams comes from the startup process. It takes a while for color to get to the point where you can actually be saving product. That press performs far better than any of our other presses in terms of its make-ready waste as well as its run waste. So those are the kinds of things that are kind of, call it easy, $12 million easy, I guess, but easier to attack. Some of those structural things like that trim size, that's just difficult for us to ultimately deal with. And again, what that points to is, call it the inefficiency of a print technology compared to an electronic technology. Yeah.
Do you use paper from the Sartell plant?
We do, not as much as there was a time when we were using more. The Sartell paper is a funny thing. It is amazing to me that the number of variables that go into a publisher or a cataloger choosing what kind of paper they want to run. And what's really interesting is compared to the printer, the paper mill tends to be incredibly focused on a particular line of paper. And in Sartell, that line is a very lightweight sheet, 30 to 36 pound paper. We don't run much paper that's under 36 pounds. And so we buy very little paper from them because of that. They don't make the kinds of paper that our plant happens to print on. I will tell you, we have a great relationship with the Sartell mill. Many years ago, we formed a relationship where when they have some paper to test, we would have them come on over and we sell press time to them very cheap because it was beneficial to us as well. Now, when we have a paper problem, sometimes from a different mill, a different vendor, we would send it over there and they do some testing for us.
Do you have a local sales force, or is that regional, national? How does the work come to this plant?
That's a great question. We do not have a local sales force. We'd love to have a local sales force. In that way, we don't control our destiny, I would say, like we used to. Although, truthfully, we haven't really had a local sales force for a long, long time. However, in the old days, 4 or 5 years ago, we could build a relationship with our sales force across the country, produce a particular set of products for them, keep them and their customers happy, and that allowed us to create a relationship with them. When they came across a new client, it would tend to be directed toward our plant. I would tell you for many years, that was what I would describe as my #1 strategy, all right? Create a relationship with the sales force and have them bring work your way. One thing that's true today is our new company has, quite frankly, a better way of doing business. I mean, it just simply is. They recognize what fits well in plants and what doesn't, and they do a better job at directing work to within the network based on the kind of work it is, where it can be produced most efficiently. There's an efficiency issue. There's also this issue of distribution. It's probably not that smart to print a book in St. Cloud and ship it to Florida. And so we have plants down in the southeast. You know, some days I'm feeling really selfish, I really hate that arrangement, but that's the way that is. So it still works to some degree. The more flexible you can be as a printer, the more customer service you can provide. I can tell you we have a customer in Birmingham, Alabama, who we just renewed here in the last year or so, and it brought a whole bunch of new work to us, and there just was no question about which plant was going to produce it. It was going to be in St. Cloud, because we had built a relationship with that customer. That customer wasn't interested in another plant. Quite frankly, the best situation we can be in is a situation where the customer says, well, if you're going to put me in a different plant, then you're just like the rest of the competition. What you have going for you is a plant I know and I trust, okay? So keep me there, and then I'll print with you. Otherwise, you're going to have to compete differently for my business. And those kinds of relationships are the ones we try and work on every day. So our customer service is incredibly important, and our building relationship with customers still is incredibly important, despite the fact that we don't have as much control as we'd like in terms of filling up our plant.
One more question.
Will the Postal Service reducing their processing centers affect you very much?
Well, I'd love to say no to that. That is one of those. Oh, I'm sorry. Will the Postal Service, service changes that they're contemplating, impact our business? I hope the answer to that is no. It's hard to say that without thinking, boy, there has to be some amount of impact from that. Certainly our customers stare at that and they would really like to not see that happen. The flip side to that is, you look at I think of the chain, right, of business we're in. There are paper mills, there are printers, there are publishers and catalogers, and in there is the post office, right? It's hard to find a lot of black numbers, quite frankly, in the P&Ls inside of any of those businesses, and the post office is in as bad a shape as any when it comes to that, all right? And given that, it feels like as a printer, I look at it personally, I'm not speaking for Quad Graphics when I say this, I would say, well, I'd better fix the problem than continue to insist on a service level that ultimately is going to lead to no post office. So I suspect there are things that they can do that are, smarter, some things smarter than others. It seems to me, though, they have no choice but to make some of those changes. It's concerning knowing what we're up against, but I think we have other ways that we talked about here today that can help us overcome that as well. So, okay? Thank you very much.
Interesting to see how the company's working and to get a larger picture of the whole world. That's a whole area. It's quite something to see. Thank you, and thank you, Alan, for helping introduce and bring them in there. Now, did you have a hard time like I did telling the two apart without their names on their vests? Real tough there. Anyway, thank you, guests, for visiting. Always nice to see you back. Joan, I didn't say hello. Everyone knows Joan Volkmos is back in town, so say hello to her. George is here. So, and speaking of snowbirds, one of our snowbirds who stays here, Tom Moore, has asked for a leave of absence to go north to his cabin for the summer, so you won't see him much. He'll be up at Lake Vermilion. He says that, well, he actually didn't say it, but the board of directors says everybody's welcome at his house, at his cabin, if you want to go up there. And Chris, again, and Jim, thank you for your hospitality and fine help and service here at this place. And John Bodette, who do we have next week and the week after?
We have the award-winning Tech High School speech team, and so we look forward to that. And then, John, on the 22nd, we have Jerry Kill.
That's correct.
You want to make a pitch?
No, the name speaks for
Just
itself.
everybody show up, right? Okay.
All right, so Teresa Bonin may have an interest in next week's talk, and special interest, I should say, and Jerry Kill is going to be a combined meeting of the 4 clubs of the St. Cloud area, 7, and we expect outside guests. We're expecting to be in here spread out, but if you're going to bring more guests than one, or you may want to help us advise so we can decide how much room we might need for this speaker. Any other business to bring before it? Otherwise, we wish you all a great afternoon and a good week ahead.